So the practice that yogis are doing here is the 4 foundations of mindfulness, in that the yogis contemplate the body in the body, the feelings in the feelings, the consciousness in the consciousness, and the Dhamma in the Dhammas. And these are the 4 objects, the 4 foundations, the 4 places that we put our mind in and notice or note continuously. And in a retreat such as this one, we call an intensive retreat. So what is intensive? If we look at non-intensive, it is short-term or non-continuous. So in an intensive retreat, whether it's 7 days or 14 days or 1 month, the key thing is that yogis must practice continuously. They have to note the 4 foundations continuously. What is it that one practices the foundations? When one practices, one does not think. If the mind thinks, then the mind cannot be concentrated. Whether you think about the past or the future, your mind cannot be concentrated. Where do you put your mind at, and where is that concentration at? So the mind is concentrated at the location, at the foundation, but there is no thinking. So yogi's mind dwells on the body, the feeling, the consciousness, and the Dhamma, but without thinking, without analyzing. So yogis know the object because there is memory or there is mindfulness. That's why we are called contemplating on the foundation. So how do we know that we are on these 4 foundations? How do we know clearly? Yogis know because when they sit, when they walk, when they follow the movement of the abdomen, they know. They know because they have mindfulness on their foot when they walk. When they sit, they have mindfulness at the abdomen. They put the mind on the abdomen and they follow the movement of the abdomen. Or when they walk and they note right, left, or lifting, moving, placing. Or when they stretch their arms and so on, they always have mindfulness. That's how they know clearly. That's how they put their mind on the 4 foundations. Yogis every day recite that they offer to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha their practice that conforms with the teaching. So when yogis practice correctly, at the same time, they offer that practice to the Triple Gem. When they note on the consciousness, on the mind, or for example, they focus, they pay attention, and they're aware of that attention. That is, they are practicing contemplation of the consciousness. When they see, they note seeing. When they hear, they note hearing, and so on. So actually they are noting the seeing consciousness or the hearing consciousness. So by practicing as such, they are noting the consciousness. So yesterday, Sayadaw explained that the intention or cetana is the cause, and then the movement of the body is the effect. So he gave the example that when yogis have the intention to come to the Dhamma hall, then their body walks to the Dhamma hall and then it sits here. When the yogis have the intention to get up, then the body gets up. So yogis, in every second, every minute, yogis offer to the Triple Gem through their practice. If we divide a being, a person into two, and we have this body and mind, or nama, rupa. And to have more details, the Buddha divides the body or a being into five, with the five aggregates. There's physical, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. And to have more details, the Buddha explained into 12 bases, 6 internal and 6 external. The eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose sensitivity, tongue sensitivity, body sensitivity, and mind base. And externally you have sight, sound, odor, taste, touch, and Dhamma object. So when one offers to the monks or to the Buddha, you respectfully execute the offer by bringing the two hands together. And there's a way, a ritual that one does in order to offer something. Similarly, when yogis offer to the Triple Gem, they also have a way, a proper way to offer to the Triple Gem. And that is to offer through the practice of Satipatthana. When we return and talk about the intention, cetana, as the cause, when yogis have the intention to talk and note that intention, and that noting is mind. The yogi is aware of the mind. And then with that intention, the body acts, the body speaks, or makes sound. So in all instances, there is a cause and effect, and yogis note them and see them clearly. When yogis want to lift their arm, say to bow to the Buddha, first yogis note the intention to lift the arm. That is noting the mind. When they clap the two hands together and they could see the movement or hardness or touch, they are noting the body. When the two hands are touched, and if there is a sensation, the yogis note that sensation and they're noting the feeling. Or if they note the touch itself, which is the characteristic of the earth element, they are noting the material. So in all instances during the practice, the yogis practically offer through their practice to the Triple Gem. When yogis recite, like we all do here every day, whether you recite the sutta and so on, your ear hears the sound. Maybe the sound comes from other people. So in that instance, you note hearing. When the mind wants to recite, the body makes the sound, and we note hearing. When the body wants to bow to the Buddha, you start with the intention, and then you note the movement of the body. And you also note the sensation. Sometimes when you bow, you have a pleasant feeling when you lower your body. Or sometimes you have unpleasant feeling, especially with people at old age. When they bow, they don't feel comfortable. So when you note whether it's a pleasant or unpleasant feeling, you are noting feeling. That's the second foundation. And when you practice as such, you are offering to the Buddha through your practice. So yogis bow respectful to the Buddha with the practice of 4 foundations of mindfulness. And through that action, yogis experience the contemplation of the body in the body, or the feeling in the feelings, or the mind, or the consciousness in the consciousness, or the Dhamma in the Dhammas. When yogis walk mindfully, yogis are making that offering to the Triple Gem. When they sit mindfully, they also make this offer to the Triple Gem. When yogis practice as such, they are walking on the path. So yogis should continue to be energetic, make effort, and note. Note so that you are aware of what is happening at the present moment. And when the mind is aware of what is happening at the present moment, it is not going anywhere. So all you need to know is to be aware of the present. Another way of saying that yogis are making the offering to the Triple Gem is to offer through the practice of morality, wisdom, morality, concentration, and wisdom. So yogis take precepts every day, and you don't take just the 5 precepts. Most of you take 8 precepts. And there's nothing wrong of just keeping the 5 precepts. For normal people, when they're not practicing in an intensive retreat, they keep 5 precepts. When keeping the 5 precepts and for their worldly activities, sometimes they have to attend meetings or banquets or wedding ceremonies. So sometimes they have to dress nicely, they dance, they sing, they put perfume on. So in the worldly sense, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's very difficult for them to control their senses in participating at those events. But when yogis are here practicing and they take the 8 precepts, they try to control even more. So one of the precepts is not to eat past noon, not dancing, not singing, not using perfume, and so on. Because that will allow them to control the senses better. And that will help them to practice better. And all day long, they dwell contemplating the body, the feelings, the consciousness, and the Dhamma. And yogis practice ardent and clear comprehension so that they could control, they could remove desire and discontent in the world. So in the worldly sense, if one has to attend ceremonies or weddings, so they have to do those things. And it's very difficult for them participating at these events and trying to control the senses at the same time. So here yogis are practicing intensively. They keep precepts with the aim of reaching Nibbana. With that, their mind has to be the body has to be light. The mind has to be free. So they have to control how much they eat. If you eat too much, it's very difficult for you to follow the rising and falling of the abdomen. When yogis take precept and yogis recite idam me silam Magaphala Jnanasa Pachayo Hotu. So with this keeping of the precepts, may this be the condition for me to experience Magaphala, path and fruition. Path and fruition consciousness is very precious. And when you walk on the path correctly, you will reach Nibbana. You will experience path and fruition. Here yogis, when they see a beautiful flower, they just note, seeing. They are not attached to that beauty, to that rose. So here, when yogis practice, yogis continue to offer to the triple gem when walking, when seeing, when hearing. In this intensive practice, the intention or the goal is to purify the mind. And in order to purify the mind, one has to keep the precepts cleanly. And they don't just keep 5 precepts, they keep 8 precepts. So it is more precious than normal, more precious than just keeping the 5 precepts. And when one offers through material things is not enough. One has to offer to the triple gem through the practice of vipassana. Normal people, when they have something, they don't want to give, they don't want to offer, they want to accumulate. Take the example to follow is the example of Anathapindika, the foremost donor during the time of the Buddha. And he offered, and he's a very rich merchant, but he offered everything that he has. He is a stream enterer. So he understands the triple gem, and he offers everything he has to the point where he has nothing left in his house, and he becomes very poor. And there was a story that at that time there is a deva who lives on earth, and that deva lives in his house or on the roof of his house. And that deva is not very happy because whenever the Buddha comes to the house for alms round, the deva has to go down. He has to go down from the roof, which is their house. Because at that time, more powerful devas come, like Sakka, so they have to come down. So one day, they told Anathapindika that you are poor now because you offered too much to the Buddha. And this deva said this with being disrespectful to the Buddha. So Anathapindika asked him, "Who are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm an earthbound deva. I live on top of your house roof, and I see that you offer a lot to the Buddha, and now you become very poor. So I'm telling you not to offer anymore." So Anathapindika was not happy, and he said, "You speak nonsense. I don't allow you to stay at my house anymore." So this earthbound deva has to go, and this earthbound deva goes to the 4 great kings asking to stay, and up but no one dared to offer a place for them to live because they were disrespectful to the Buddha, until they met the King Devasaka. So Saka, out of compassion, told them, I will tell you what to do in order to recover from your bad deed. Anathapindika has a lot of precious stones, but because of the storm, and they are washed away, and now they are under a lake. So you should go there, go down to the lake, bring them all up, and bring it back to him, and ask for forgiveness. So the earthbound Deva did just that, but Anathapindika was not satisfied, and he asked them to go and ask the Buddha for forgiveness. And finally the Buddha gave them forgiveness, and they are happy to stay at Anathapindika's house again. But the gist of the story is when one offers everything, like Anathapindika, and that's the cause. And because of that cause, the effect comes back right away, meaning all of the precious stone that he lost was returned to him. So here, yogis make the offer to the triple gem. And another way of saying that yogis are making this offer is they make the offer with the triple baskets. The basket of morality, of the teachings of the Buddha, and of Abhidhamma, the three baskets. So we already talked about offering through morality or keeping the precepts. And for offering through the teaching of the Buddha or through Abhidhamma is really the offering with a clear, clean mind. Offering with a mind through the practice, the mind without greed, without anger, without delusion. We offer according to the teachings of the Buddha. When you note clearly mind and matter, mental factors and so on, that is offering through Abhidhamma. But simply put, one offers with a pure mind, without a mind without greed, anger, and delusion. So that offer is very different from the normal offering of material things. And yogis here are making the offer through the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness. To repeat, when yogis walk mindfully, you are making this offer to the triple gem. And that is a very intensive, practical offer. It's not that you have to recite and bow to the Buddha to say that you are making the offer. This kind of offer through the practice, is a lot more practical, is a lot more effective. As we know, the Buddha left everything behind, even though he was a prince. He has no attachment. So if we follow that, and we leave everything behind, and we come here to practice, that offer is the best way to offer to the Buddha. When yogis bow to the Buddha respectfully, with compassion, with love, one should also remember that the Buddha also has a lot of compassion, a lot of loving kindness toward beings. And the Buddha wants beings to have the liberation or the seed of liberation in their heart. So when one practices, one carries that seed in their heart, in their mind. And through the practice, the mind becomes concentrated. And the power of a concentrated mind is immeasurable. And we cannot comprehend the power of such mind. Just to illustrate the point, one could look at the power of people creating the atomic bomb. Just with the mind of some scientists concentrated in building such a device, and look at the power of that device. It destroyed an island in Japan, and even till this day, its effect is still there. Now, if you compare that concentrated mind with the concentrated mind of the Buddha, a mind that has no greed, no anger, no delusion, you could imagine the power of such mind is a lot more powerful. So one story that we read in the sutta is that one of his disciples, or Moggallana, he's the foremost with psychic power, and his mind is very concentrated. He has the ability to reach with his arm and with his hand, and he could grab the earth, and he could move the earth. He could rotate the earth. That just to give us a slim look at the power of a concentrated mind. But yogis here are practicing and keep the mind on the object so that the mind could be concentrated with the objective to reach Nibbana. And the power of that concentrated mind will take the yogi there. So yogis today are still in the cycle of birth, death and birth, and they get out of it through the practice of satipatthana. So when they practice, they see mind and matter clearly. They see clearly that these phenomena change all the time. And they continue to observe this body and this mind continuously, continue to see them arising and passing away. And they continue to contemplate on those. And at the end, they realize Nibbana. They realize the cessation of the change, of the arising and passing away. You throw away, you put away selfishness, you cultivate loving kindness, you aspire to see path and fruition, and that's why you practice. And when you practice, you see the process of the mind, of the body, and you continue to practice, to move forward. And each day, you note clearly, you see clearly this body, this feeling, consciousness, and Dhamma. So, the Dhamma talk ends here through the effort of the practice of the yogis. May they be able to practice smoothly. May they be able to liberate it in this very life.